Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back. Alan here again with Droid Life. Now, hopefully you've watched the unboxing of this guy right here, which is, of course, the Google Pixel XL. But we know that launch day is really approaching. And since our review will be up soon, but potentially not by that day, we want to make sure those of you who pre-ordered and have one on the way are getting the most out of it the minute you get it. So let's dive into this. These are the first 10 things to do with your Google Pixel XL. So first up, and if you've watched any of these videos of ours in the past, you know exactly what we're about to tell you, and that is to make sure you get that fingerprint reader set up. Now, why would you do that? Well, it's secure, convenient is sort of how we like to put it. If you got that fingerprint reader set up, all you have to do is put your finger over it and it unlocks your phone. But then if you lose the phone, no one else can get into your phone unless they know your PIN, password, whatever. But the idea is every time you pick your phone up, you just slap your finger back there and unlocks it. You don't have to hit any side buttons. You don't have to enter a password or PIN. You just put that finger back there and it unlocks. So to set that up, we obviously jump into settings. And when you walk through your initial setup, it will actually talk to you about doing this. But we go into security in settings and set up a screen lock. I've set mine up as a pattern. You could do PIN or password. And then in Pixel Imprint, which is where your fingerprints are, this is where you start setting them up. So you can see I've got 2 fingers set up, each index finger. You can obviously set up more if you want to use your middle fingers, thumbs, whatever. If you want to use your significant others as well in case they need to get into your phone, you could even do that. But you tap on this and you just walk through it and you just start putting your finger over the back fingerprint reader and it just reads it. And Google's is one of the faster. It actually does it in about 6 taps, so it's really quick. You can add another, then click done. Either way, that's how you set up a fingerprint. And again, do it. It just is such an easy way to lock your phone securely and then also unlock it. So the next thing you're going to want to set up is the Google Assistant. This is one of the flagship features that Google's really pushing with the Pixel phones. And the Google Assistant essentially allows you to ask your phone to help you do things, assist in things, find restaurant reservations, movies playing, information about whatever, the weather, what your day looks like, all of that stuff. So you guys have seen some of this before, but this is obviously one of the big pushes. So you set it up and you train your phone to understand you saying, "Okay, Google." And when it does that, you'll see it launches into the assistant. You can also long press on home from wherever and that will do it. And you can even do this with your phone off. I can say, "Okay, Google," and then it wakes up and launches right into that. Now you can see it's pretty fast compared to what it has been on older phones. Now, I'll have a much deeper video of that, but some examples are, what's the weather like?
It's 53 degrees Fahrenheit.
What about this weekend?
Saturday and next Sunday.
Did the Patriots win?
The New England Patriots won 35-17.
How old is LeBron James?
LeBron James is 31 years old.
What's my calendar look like tomorrow?
You have one calendar entry tomorrow at 3:30.
Add beer to my shopping list.
Okay, I've added beer to your shopping list. Done.
Remind me tomorrow to buy that beer.
Okay, do you want to save this?
No.
What?
So you guys get it, right? That's Google Assistant, and it obviously there's much more we can do there. This is just sort of a brief tutorial, but that's something I think you should set up. I think that's one of the big features, and I think everyone will get some use out of there. So next up, I would say we get into the customization of the phone. So the quick settings tiles, which are up top on your phone here, you can customize these, and you may as well customize them to sort of better fit your needs. So if we clear these for a second and we pull this down, you'll see you've got your series of quick shortcuts here initially. So mine are Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, portrait, do not disturb, my battery, and then the new nightlight mode. So you can swipe this down and it shows you even more. So you can see it goes beyond those ones I had first set up, which are your first 6, and goes flashlight, airplane, and my connection. Now, if you hit this little pencil or pen button up here, it lets you adjust these, and you can hold and drag these around and put in the ones you want here, or you can drag and rearrange the ones you want to use the most. One thing to keep in mind is your first 6 are the ones that are going to show up in that first little pull down. So I would highly suggest that you customize these so that they're the ones you use all of the time. So that every time you do that initial swipe down, you can toggle Wi-Fi off or on, or turn do not disturb mode on, or turn on the new nightlight mode, or what have you. And then when you further swipe down, you can obviously adjust brightness, and you can see even more options and things like that. But it's these first 6 which are really, really important to get set up. So speaking of nightlight mode, you can see right here, nightlight mode. If we turn that on, the screen sort of turns into an amberish color, and that's because it wants you to use it at night like that and ease on your eyes and things like that before you go to bed or just in dark situations. So I'm going to long press on that, and that'll take me into nightlight mode. But if it's not showing in yours, go ahead and just jump into your settings and then look for display. And in display, you'll see nightlight. So nightlight, I have mine set up to come on automatically. So you can toggle it off and on whenever you want, but you can also set it up to come on at certain times. So you could set up a custom schedule, or you could just tell it to come up on sunset to sunrise, which may be a good option, or you can have it never turn on if you want. I have mine coming on from 8 p.m. to 6 a.m. the next day. Really, really handy feature. Trust me, it's one of those things that once you have set up and have on a phone, you're never going to want to be without it. So let's keep going into settings though. The next thing I would say is go into sound. And this is one of those things we do often on these videos, and that's tell you to set up do not disturb. So if you don't want to get spammy notifications and things popping up on your phone in the middle of the night, do not disturb is how you avoid those. So you just set up automatic rules and you tell it when you want do not disturb to turn on, which means no notifications outside of maybe alarms or priority notifications or when people call you. So you can see I have 2 set up for weekend and also weeknight. And in here you can define things like days, time that it comes on and turns back off, what shows up, and you sort of get it. These are pretty simple ideas. You can also show what you want to come through. So starred contacts, I may want those to call through. If somebody's repeat calling me, maybe there's an emergency and they're not in my starred contacts, you can have those come through as well. So do not disturb, just one of those things set up, and it just sort of, it's a set it and forget it sort of thing. So let's keep in settings though and jump into battery. Something to keep in mind is battery saver. It turned off out of the box, but if you turn on an automatic option, you can have battery saver kick on probably when you most need it. And the 2 options are 3 options, either never turn on at 5% or at 15. I have mine set at 15, and you can see right here what it does. When your battery gets down to its last minutes, it says to help improve battery life, battery saver reduces your device's performance, limits vibration, all that stuff in order, again, to conserve battery. So you may as well just turn on the automatically and maybe even set it at 5% if you don't want it to start hampering on performance at 15%, but definitely something to keep in mind. The next thing we'll do, still in settings, is this new feature for Pixel phones, and it's called Moves. And so Moves, if you're a fan of Motorola phones, you'll think of them as sort of Moto Actions. So we've got a new one and a couple other ones. So one of them is Jump to Camera. And I'm going to talk more about this later, so we'll avoid that for now. Same with Flip Camera, we'll avoid that as well for now too. But so swipe for notifications is a new one, and what it's telling you to do is swipe on the fingerprint reader to get to your notification. So if I swipe down on it, you can see I haven't touched notification area, and I just was able to bring both of those down. And you can swipe once or swipe twice and expand all of that. And then if you swipe back up on it, it actually brings that back up. So I can kind of show you if I swipe down, there it is. And if I swipe down again, it expands it. And then if I swipe up, that goes away. So that's one of those moves I think will really come in handy, especially if you have the XL and you don't want to reach all the way up to that notification. Your finger is probably resting there. And so a little swipe down will get you there. So those are moves. And I have a feeling these are going to expand over time from Google. All right, so let's jump back to the home screen for a second and talk about some interesting things, at least with the Pixel Launcher and Android Nougat in general. One of those is app shortcuts. What's an app shortcut? It's a little bit like Google, or I should say Apple's 3D Touch. So assuming a developer has built in support for it, thankfully Google has in a bunch of ways, you just do a long press on icons, and if they're supported, you'll get little options. So for Chrome beta, I can long press and get options for new tab or new incognito. If I just tap on new tab, it then opens a new tab. If I go into calendar, I can long press and say set up a new reminder, set up a new event, and if you tap on those, they take you into calendar, and then they let you set up something like a reminder. Even with camera, you can long press on that, take a selfie, take a video, shortcuts to get you into these things. But you can see like Twitter hasn't built it in yet, so it just sort of zooms out. I have had some questions about, well, how does it work if you need to move an icon, if you're long pressing? Well, if you long press and keep holding and then you move, it actually just sort of works like it used to. But if you long press and those things pop up, you just sort of let go. Some other ones are like Google Maps. You can set your home and work addresses. And when you tap on those, it just jumps you right into navigation to those. You can long press on Play Store and there's a shortcut to get to My Apps. You can do the same with photos. There's some options. So Google has built in a lot of these. Not a lot of other apps have. So you're just going to have to sort of play around with these. Like, for example, Inbox hasn't been updated, but Gmail does have them. The phone dialer works as well. So app shortcuts, I would get used to those. They could certainly come in handy. So the next thing, let's talk multi-window for a second. This is a NuGet feature as well. So if I have open, let's say I have Droid Life open, and then I'm like, well, maybe I want to watch a Droid Life video at the same time I'm on the website. If I just long press here on the app switcher button, you can see this section stays with Droid Life. And this one sort of opens up my app switcher, and then I can tap something if it's supported and get into it. So I now have Chrome running and YouTube running, and I can drag on this bar to resize it. And so this is just one of those things you should be familiar with, because it is a unique feature, at least to stock Android now. We finally got it built in. If you want to get rid of a window, it's pretty simple. You just swipe it down to get rid of the one on the bottom. And then if you want to get rid of the one on top, you could just swipe that up. And so choosing these, I'll just set that back up. So choosing these is pretty easy. And if you have both of these up and you accidentally hit the home button, that's okay. That doesn't make it go away. You can see over here, the app switcher shows that there's two apps. And so if I just tap on that, it takes me sort of right back into that multi-window experience. So no big deal there. We'll swipe that down. And finally, I'll go back to some of those previous moves I was talking about, and that is learning how to quickly launch the camera, because this is important, right? We want to make sure we get all of those precious moments. And so to do that, Google still has the double tap on the side button, and that loads the camera, and then you can snap pictures. The other thing you can do is twist, and it actually flips around into selfie mode. And you can twist and it will flip back around into normal shooting rear mode. So a couple of shortcuts there. Again, those are double click power button, launches camera, wrist twist flips to selfie, and wrist twist again flips back to the regular shooter. Those are just first 10 things you should consider doing to get the most out of your phone. We'll obviously have tips and tricks and more on Google Assistant, a lot deeper details going forward, but that should get you going once we hit Pixel launch day. If you've got comments, questions, we're Droid Life. Peace.